Alhanislam, and I am a poet, a motivational speaker, and a campaigner with change.org. And I am happy to be here. So yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Kwange.
Good afternoon. My name is Musa Abubakar, popularly known as Abu Hida.
My name is Rahmalon Ahmed.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Fatima Mikhail Usman from Kano.
I'm a spoken word artist, an upcoming actor, and a blogger.
Okay, so at what point for all of you, and also I want you guys to think about it, right? At what point does poetry become a prayer? And at what point does it become a protest for you guys?
There's a line by Toby Abiodun.
Yeah.
He says that like a prayer is a poem, and God listens to the ones with the most punchlines.
Wow. Okay.
So like, I think when we write, when we speak, we sometimes speak to ourselves first. Like, it's like a reassurance. Most of the time, like when I write my poems, I try to be the person that needs it the most. So I would say that is the point whereby you say that poetry is a prayer. And there are times whereby you want to express yourself. So I think expressing yourself is also a kind of protest. You are like trying to make known how you feel. So that is where I say poetry is a protest.
Okay, still to be Abiodun.
Yeah.
You know when he said what makes a poem a poem?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact words he used, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to paraphrase. He was saying the poem is what the poet says it is.
Yes.
So at what point do you say that it's a prayer for you or a protest for you?
Personally, I think it's a prayer for me when it feels like everybody's asking me, did it really happen to you? So most times, even when I write a protest, it becomes more like the whole prayer thing is when it's very personal, when everybody's wondering if it's like from my personal experience and all of that. It means they actually see through me in the poem. And when it's a protest, it's usually not very personal. It's more like we are us, we are a lot of us in this thing. It feels like misery loves company, and you're just trying to be company to the other person that's in the same misery with you. But when it's a prayer, you're the only one in this, and you're trying to like vent.
Love it. Okay, as a lot of people may know, I have a lot of angry poems.
Yeah.
The other
the
other day we had this event with Era Father Charlie Boy, and they reached out to me quickly because the show was already scripted, but they needed it was Valentine's Day, so they wanted me to write a poem about my love for Nigeria.
Right.
And I went to stage and I was thinking, look for a poem that says you love Nigeria and all of that. That is how much I think I read a lot of angry, sad poems about Nigeria. What I have decided personally as an artist this year is I want to write poems that hold me, poems that heal, right? So what I have realized is, it's the way someone you love hurts you. Sometimes you're angry, you want to be angry, just want to be sad. So that's the point I think I have been at. My poetry have been protest-based. It's been Nigeria, it's messing us up and all of that. For me, this time I'm like, these poems hurt me too. Because sometimes, like last year, I did a lot of road trips, and I'll get to a point, I'm like, God, I pray my line there, because I have a lot of lines about how Nigerian road will swallow you, how there are a lot of kidnappers. I'm like, God, I don't want this thing to happen. I don't want my poems to happen to me. So I was like, okay, I have to start changing the kind of poems I write. I want to have poems that I can just hold and say, God, let this poem happen to me. So I am seeking healing. And at this point, I want poetry to be sort of like a prayer to me. So I just could navigate healing, because this country, if you just focus more on the protests, it just keeps swallowing you in. It does. And I'm done. I think I'm done with that part of my art, I think.
It seems like Love It was getting a bit emotional about it. I think for me, the first thing I look at is what the prayer and the protest have in common, which is manifestation. Somehow you're looking for results by whatever it is, whether it's a prayer or it's a protest. And for me, I think my poems become prayers, just like KJ said, when it's you. But even for me, the protest, sometimes it also applies to when it's me. I can remember when I lost my mom, the poem I wrote, Hero After All, was a prayer for me. And it was a prayer for me because it started with my mother's voice and what she was saying. She did see in me And so I am sort of pushing that as a form of prayer to be able to manifest that in myself, to become it. And like when it became a protest for me, was when I wrote The Last Planet, because at that time I was shattered. I stopped writing for a long time. I was really broken. I had lost purpose because everything that I was doing was actually around my mother, was basically, oh, you do this because, your mom's going to be happy. Your mom wants you to do your own thing, so your mom's going to be happy. So you're doing poetry, your mom's going to be happy. So everything was literally for her. So when she died, it was like, I don't have any purpose now. Like, I'm not doing anything anymore. So I stopped going out for a long time. I was just at home. I was depressed. And so when I wrote The Last Planet, it was sort of me protesting against that spirit of depression and anxiety that's holding me down to say, no, you know what, you don't have a purpose anymore. And I had to sort of reassure myself that there's no one that's like you. So if you decide not to continue, you're depriving the world of your gift. And like, I would say to myself, but there are so many other people who have these gifts that would fill the space. And I'll still have this argument with myself where like myself is saying to me that, no, there's still going to be that space that that vacuum that you're not, taking up that space. So that's really when it became a prayer and a protest. And I think that's when, after writing those poems, that's when I sat and I was having this deep introspection, and I realized that, oh, really, both of them, what they have in common is the manifestation. So like coming back to what you said regarding your poems being angry, truly, poets and people who have the power of words are actually casting a spell. Because there's a reason when we get on stage, people become quiet.
And
it's all about energy for me. A lot of times I say this, and the truth is energy exists. And as people who have been blessed with the power of words, we must learn how to sort of speak truth to power, but at the same time, for ourselves as well, for peace, for tranquility. And that really just brings me to the point of, what do you want for this election, right? What is your thought process regarding this election? I know. I know.
I can't even lie. I'm not anticipating the process. I'm just anticipating the results. Just want the whole thing to just fizzle out.
Yeah, I just want to be like in a coma. Like, no, like I just, how you don't see, because I think it gives me this crazy anxiety, because I think if this country is going to get the change we are praying for, I don't think it's going to be very peaceful.
It's so unpredictable, because now the political climate is very, very fragile.
Exactly.
Even before the elections, we are already having protests, we are having opera places. Yeah. Even, for example, in Lagos today, I heard they blocked the Lagos-Ibadan expressway.
Yeah.
So cars can't go in or come out. So it's like some places that they're like trying to burn down stuff, burn down banks, and it's already creating this atmosphere of fear already.
So right now, as poets, what do you think your role is in this, election period, with regards to this context, the things you had said? Is it now time for a prayer or a protest? And for you personally, how do you intend to go about it? So it's a general question. I mean, if you have anything to say, you can definitely.
There was something that I said this morning on the Through My Voice community group. I said that as poets, we are the conscience of the society personified. So when society stands to lose its morals, it is our job as poets to be able to remind them of our core humanity. So that is how I can best describe it.
Thank you, Psalmist. Does anyone here have anything that they want to say? You can please raise your hand, drop a comment in the chat box so that we can unmute you.
For example, my contrast turned me into the woman with the issue of blood. The line after that is, but in this reality, the bleeding never stops. And then I asked myself that, because I'm being deliberate this year about the things, no matter how angry I am, I do not just want to stay angry. I want something to change. I don't want to stay scared because I know how these past days have been dark for me. You know, you can't even access food, you can't move, like no cash and all that. Then I told myself that you saying that this bleeding will never stop, you are professing doom on your country.
Yeah.
And that is also choosing to be taxed with the burden because you have a job. I think as a writer, we have the job to talk about this thing. And instead of saying the bleeding never stops, I decided to say instead that, and I fear that this bleeding may never stop. So that means it's a fear. It is not a declaration.
It's not a declaration.
It's saying, God, if you can do something about this, do something about it. But I have not decided that nothing can be done about it.
Absolutely.
I think we have a lot of poems that question the government, and then we don't talk about how wicked Nigerians can be to themselves.
That is
So really, I think it's high time we start questioning ourselves as citizens too.
Yeah.
I mean, the thugs are citizens actually. They are not even, in fact, they might not even get into politics in their lifetime at all. So the people that cast votes are actually citizens. So sometimes it feels like we're fighting ourselves. It feels like, look at the whole selling of money thing, everything. The system is already bad enough.
Yeah.
And whether we fight against it or not, we suffer. Or make it worse when we fight one another. So I think it's time we start questioning ourselves.
That should be a poem, right?
I think we can beg and convince and pray to people around us because I don't think, let's look at it this way. How bad would you have been hungry that you will sell your vote for 5,000 naira? How bad? You have to be, it's like your hunger does not have hope. Else you will not sell your vote for 4 years, for 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira.
Even 8 years now,
So
I think we are that bad. We don't have a hope right now.
So I think that we are all victims. It's just that we respond to it differently.
And the other day on Change.org IG Live, I was saying something that sometimes what we have is not a policy problem, but a personality problem.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Musa Abubakar.
We see the TEDx.
Okay. Well, what I want to say is I was born and brought up in Maiduguri, and I have suffered in the hands of Boko Haram, not as a victim, but I've watched my friends and some of my family affected. And now I don't even have a choice of who to vote or who to support. The only thing I have now is just to pray and to protect. And at a point, I believe we are healers and our voices are important. And I believe my voice is important. And I just hope one day all these nightmares will pass. And sorry, maybe I'll talk again next. I'll take again. I'm just remembering my friend, my roommate who lost her life in the hands of Boko Haram. And she's the kind of person that always liked to speak. She liked to advocate. She likes politics. So now I'm wondering what does, oh my God. I think I'll talk later.
Sure. We're here. Thank you, Howard. Thank you so much for your courage, for still finding it important to lend your voice. Your voice matters. You're important. The people of Nigeria are important. And just as Psalmist said, regardless of wherever we go, we're still Nigerians. And that is something you can never change. And so whether or not you choose to fight with us, the only thing we pray is you're able to fight even by proxy from wherever you are. Even if it's just changing the mindset of one person, then I would say that the job is done. And well done, Hawa, for finding that courage. if the people themselves start to be responsible, regardless of the situation would have nowhere else to fester on than to actually change. Because like still the same people, like government is just really an ambiguous word. It's still me now, when maybe Buhari is out of office, I'll still go and contest, and it's just one person against go there. But another thing also that I feel we're not paying attention to is the hierarchy of decision makers. So a lot of times this thing now that's happening, we can say, oh, stop, it's Buhari, right? But we don't even understand who our decision makers are before Buhari. That's part of the reason we're not taking serious.
True.
So the local government, you see somebody else, Buhari. You don't hold the chairman, the councillor, accountable. But the moment we start doing those things, if something is happening, we first of all Google or whatever. Google is your friend. Who are the responsible MDAs for XYZ? Their names will come out.
Hi.
If it's a state minister, is it the federal minister, an executive council member, whatever, it will come out. So until we have learned to start holding those at that level accountable, the presidency, the other set of people, they would not take us serious and they will laugh at us. That is part of the reason the NSAS protest was not successful.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. What I want to say is, if Nigerians continue to see every opportunity as a chance to be rich, we are in trouble. We are in trouble, and this problem is not going to end anytime soon. Because 2021, me and my colleagues, when I was in part 2, we organized a training for women, that is affected women in Jerry local government, Maiduguri, to train 130 women on how to decorate rooms using disposable plastics. And we actually approached some of the stakeholders for support, but they later on, they want to gain from what we have started. I don't know if you understand. They really want to show themselves as if the idea is theirs, and they want to support us with a price. Like they have to gain. That is, if they are going to forward our efforts to a higher position, they have to be acknowledged. So, and I think that is wrong. And when we try to own our work, they abandon us. Nobody supported us. And after that 130 women, we have not carried any project up till now. But Alhamdulillah, I'm happy that I've impacted. I'm happy that I have taught them. And even if it's one person that continue that business, I know she will help her family. I'm sorry, I really suffered to learn English. And now that I will be able to communicate with you, I will not keep quiet. I will continue to talk. I will talk and talk until they hear me.